What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got another live fantasy football mock draft back on Fantasy Pros, where we will be taking our second look at the zero running back draft strategy for the 2022 fantasy football season. And our setup here, we've got a 12-team full PPR mock where we will be selecting 8th overall. I think that's a pretty good position to test out the strategy. Our roster: 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots. That's pretty much it. So let's get into it. And while we wait, a quick reminder: if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comments section. Do you agree, disagree, your thoughts on the strategy itself, along with any of the questions you guys might have? We will do our best to answer them all. And lastly, make sure to check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. It has everything you can want at a great value. Top 150 overall player ranking in the standard and PPR formats, individual player bios, tiers, projections, along with general fantasy advice. All those details in the description. But with that being said, let's get into it. And as I mentioned before, we're going to be taking another look at the zero running back draft strategy. So basically, for the first 4 rounds, pretty much, that's how I like to quantify it, going pass catchers and then going running back afterwards and seeing how this roster looks like. It's definitely a draft strategy that is divisive, and for good reason, usually because the running back position is the most important position in fantasy football. So we're going to see how this thing plays out, and let's not waste any more time. We know we're going to go with a wide receiver. Justin Jefferson is still on the board. He's our number 2 wide receiver. This is pretty easy. So we're going Justin Jefferson here, and then we're going to see who falls to us here in this next round. And I'm going to switch to the draft board very quickly and show you guys what just happened. Now, I will also, as we go through this, say what other players we were contemplating, things like that. So, here with our first pick, I do actually think Jefferson was an all right selection, like a good value pick where we got him. Other guys that have been in contention: DeAndre Swift, potentially even Aaron Jones or Joe Mixon. I was hoping one of these top 2 tight ends, just for the heck of it, might drop to us in the second round so that we weren't so wide receiver heavy. But no, they both go in the second round. Kelsey at the 202, Mark Andrews at the 204. So, we're just going to go with our next best wide receiver, and I'm not really all that upset about it. I have Stephon Diggs ranked a little bit above Davante Adams just because I think he's going to control a bigger share of targets. Davante Adams, he's still got Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller around him. Stephon Diggs, whereas, he's a little bit more so, I would imagine, that in terms of separation, has the advantage from that aspect. So now continuing to look at this, we already can pull up our roster here. We've got 2 studs at the wide receiver position, Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs. Now quickly taking another look at this big board. After our selection of Diggs, you see Javonte Williams, Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, Nick Chubb, Tyreek Hill, Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Josh Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Saquon Barkley at the 303, very, very good value there. A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, and Kyle Pitts. I was wondering maybe, again, Kyle Pitts was a name that we get cute with and nab him like in the 4th round, but I think he's overvalued here at this point in time. Also, in the second round, if we didn't go Stephon Diggs, probably would have been looking at a Saquon Barkley there. And, if we were treating this as the typical draft, if you will. So now getting back to our big board, guys like a James Conner or David Montgomery, usually we would go that way. But again, since we're following our strategy, since we're going with 0 running backs for the first couple of rounds, I'm going to go my next highest ranked wide receiver, or at least here on these Fantasy Pros kind of rankings. Probably I'd normally go Michael Pittman here, but maybe Michael Pittman, he probably won't. I'm going to go for a little bit higher upside. I think T. Higgins arguably has a little bit of that higher upside, with Joe Burrow opposite Jamar Chase. So let's go with T. Higgins at this point in time. He'll be our flex play. And I think, again, that's very, very good value. And let's see what happens afterwards in terms of, running backs, in terms of, actually not running backs, since we're going to go, again, like I mentioned before, another pass catcher. But after we went T. Higgins, you saw Deontay Johnson, David Montgomery, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, and boy, oh boy, that running back pool is absolutely getting bare. But hey, again, this is what happens. This is what happens when you commit to a very extreme strategy like this. Michael Pittman did go at the 401, Jalen Waddle, Marquise Brown at the 403. So now what do we do here? What's our best bet? Maybe we can go to tight end because I feel like, it's overkill at wide receiver. No, Terry McLaurin is still there. I do think he's a good value. Allen Robinson. But honestly, whoever we draft at this point in time, I don't think we're going to be drafting a wide receiver anytime soon. So there is also that aspect. I'll probably just go Terry McLaurin right now. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if the draft grade that we get is absolutely abysmal when it's all said and done. And I'll probably agree with it more than likely. But, it'll be very, very intriguing one way or the other. Now we are back on the clock. I think this is a pretty easy pick for us. Tight end guys like George Kittle and Darren Waller are off the board. So we've got Jefferson, we've got Stephon Diggs, we got Higgins, we got Terry McLaurin. We're going to wait on tight end, or we're going to hit the running back position real damn hard here. And right now, the guy that I feel the best about is Elijah Mitchell, hands down, out of those couple of names that we saw. Yes, arguably there were better values at other positions. Like I would have absolutely loved a Allen Robinson at the end of the 5th round, but I mean, we already had 4 wide receivers, so you get the point there. You kind of get in a spot where you might have to pass up some really, really good value at the wide receiver position later on. And that's kind of why I don't like the zero running back strategy, especially this year, just because I think that there's such great wide receiver value, like in the 4th, 5th, even in the 6th round, getting top end wide receivers that can be wide receiver ones. So now, again, kind of let's look at our cheat sheet, but I more or less know which way I'm going. I'm going for upside. I'm probably going A.J. Dillon here. Yes, I've said it 1,000 times. I think Aaron Jones is going to be the main dude. A.J. Dillon doesn't really bring too much as a pass catcher. But, hopefully he gets some increases in terms of rushing touchdowns, in terms of rushing attempts. At least that's what we're telling ourselves here when we have to draft him as our 2nd overall running back. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Miles Sanders is also the other name that I was kind of considering. But let's go with A.J. Dillon. I think maybe there's a slight chance Miles Sanders doesn't get drafted. Probably not, but let's see what actually happens. So, no, he does in fact get drafted. And, looking at it, I will say he was the only other running back drafted after we selected A.J. Dillon. So there is that. And I'm just, I'm looking at this, I'm a little bit sick because there's so much good value here. Again, Mooney, guys like Hunter Renfrow, even wide receivers that are still available, like looking at this list, a potentially somebody like an Elijah Moore, somebody like a Alan Lazard, one of those Seattle wide receivers, if somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded over there. But no, we have to continue to stockpile on running back. I'm out on Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year. I'm looking at Kareem Hunt, as that pass-catching guy in PPR. Probably going to go with him, and then maybe a Chase Edmonds in the next round if he's there. Kind of under the radar type of guy. Or I might go Melvin Gordon, honestly. Actually, I think I can probably get Melvin Gordon waiting a little bit longer. So, yeah, we're just hitting the running back position real hard. I'm hoping Chase Edmonds is just that guy that catches a boatload of passes. Like, he won't be the every down back because, Sony Michel is there, Raheem Mostert is there for Miami. But if he can be some like Kareem Hunt light, then that's okay with me. And then finally here, I'm going to draft my last running back probably. We've gone 5 straight running backs. I mean, Elijah Mitchell, A.J. Dillon, Kareem Hunt, Chase Edmonds, and Melvin Gordon. So, yeah, that was pretty straightforward. Let's see what's left at tight end. I'm rather curious about that. We could have gotten somebody like a Cole Kmet earlier, something along those lines, but I wanted to get Melvin Gordon. I wanted to back myself up at the running back position as much as I could. So we're going to be looking at a tough choice for tight end. Yeah, that's not ideal because you look at the cheat sheet and the top tight ends like Freiermuth, Gesicki, Knox, Noah Fant, Hunter Henry. I don't really love any of those guys. Like I'm looking at it and this is a little bit rough. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'd probably go with like a Gerald Everett as my main dude, taking the tight end 1 role in LA So that's obviously a very valuable offense. So I'm just going to draft a quarterback right now. I'm going to draft my highest ranked quarterback left. That is Matthew Stafford. So we don't get too cute or anything like that. Let's see what happens afterwards, what other players are drafted. And, right now, looking at the wide receiver position, I mean, we're set there. Looking at the tight end position, I guess we can go a high upside guy like a Dawson Knox, getting the touchdown upside, and then go with a flyer like Gerald Everett. I think that probably makes sense. So let's do it that way. And then now we will go with a final selection, and that'll probably be, like I mentioned before, our guy in Gerald Everett, similar to that Jared Cook role that last year some people were taking a chance on. So, yeah, let's go with Everett here. Definitely the tight end position is less than ideal. Man, I'm looking at this draft, and it's been a roller coaster, if you will. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a pretty low draft grade. We're going to see very shortly here. And, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't give this higher than a C. I think Fantasy Pros might be a little bit more brutal on and, of course, we get a B, but I disagree with that so much. It's not even funny because, I mean, our second starting running back is a backup. Elijah Mitchell, our starting running back, is a guy on a system that they don't really commit to one guy. Typically, Trey Lance, if he's the guy all season long at quarterback, he's going to take away from Elijah Mitchell. I mean, we did get Kareem Hunt, Chase Edmonds, and Melvin Gordon, but none of those guys are RB1s, at least unless there's an injury in front of them. A tight end position, not ideal. So honestly, I got to give this roster like a C-. Yes, we have Jefferson. We have Stephon Diggs, McLaurin, T. Higgins, but there's way too many deficiencies in other spots of our roster. That's why, again, if you go with a strategy like this, don't take it to the extreme. Probably do it for the first 3 rounds, something like that. Or just let the draft fall to you. I always say that. I think that's the best case scenario. But, maybe some people swear by a strategy like this. Either way, let me hear it in the comment section. Your thoughts, but most importantly, any questions you guys might have. I'll do my best to answer them all. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. And again, make sure to check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide, now available for purchase. Details in the description. In the meantime, I'll see you guys in future videos.